Welcome back to Daily with Nate. Nate here, your personal performance coach. We're in our series on the success alphabet. Today we're on letter E, and the word for today is experience. Now, have you ever gone to a job interview and you filled out the application, and as you got into the interview, or maybe even on the application itself, it asked you the question, do you have any prior experience? And I know a lot of times we get so frustrated with that because we're like, how am I ever going to get any experience until somebody hires me? Well, there are some jobs that don't necessarily require a lot of experience, and there are other jobs that actually require some experience. Maybe the experience that they're looking for is in the technical aspect of the job itself, learning to master the basics of the job. Maybe they want you just to have some success out in the real world in the marketplace, dealing with other people. You know what I'm talking about? Like those interpersonal relationships and having to deal with people of different personality types and people that don't think the way that you do, feel the way that you do. They don't live life the way that you do. They just want you to get out there and rub some shoulders because that matures us. That helps to grow us up. It gives us some real world experience. Now, I have always said that education really happens two ways. It's kind of like a 50-50, and maybe eventually it becomes a little lopsided, not quite 50-50, but I've always said that when it comes to learning new skills in the business world, 50% of it is the classroom and the other 50% is real world experience. Now, what is the classroom? Could that be going to college? Sure, it could be, but for many people these days, it's becoming less about college and it's becoming more about joining mastermind groups, finding an online coach, attending a seminar, watching YouTube videos from somebody that just like really strikes you. And when they speak, you feel like, man, I can really listen to this person and I feel like I'm learning a lot. And so the classroom is that educational part where it's just feeding into our minds and telling us what it is that we need to be doing or what we should be thinking about doing and giving us a sense of direction. But at some point we have to get out into the real world and we have to get some experience. You can go learn about sales, but you're never going to be good at sales till you get the door slammed in your face a few times, or you've had a whole bunch of people tell you no, or you've had your friends and family say, are you out of your mind? I don't want that bunch of junk that you're selling, right? And so when we're in the classroom, that's a very comfortable place to be. Sometimes the world of experience can be a very uncomfortable place to be. But I'll tell you, the discomfort that we experience out in the world, trying to garner our experience and trying to move up a notch, while it doesn't feel good, that's the stuff that really separates the men from the boys. It really separates the women from the girls. That's where you get tough. That's where you find the stuff that you're made of. And sometimes you get back in your car, and I've even had some of my clients say, Nate, I've gotten back in my car and I've beat on the steering wheel and I've cried and I've yelled and I've shouted and be like, God, why me? I thought this would be easier. Listen, don't ask for it to be easy. Never ask for that. Just ask for it to be worth it. Don't be afraid of the experience. Go get the experience under your belt. Don't go out, if you're in sales, don't go out and prospect 10 people. Go out and prospect 1,000 people and then prospect 1,000 more. If you want to become a master piano player, don't go practice for 10 hours. Go practice an hour a day for the next 10 years. There's a great book called Outliers, and in that book, I forget which chapter, but it's towards the beginning of the book. There's a chapter called 10,000. And the whole idea is that it's the power of 10,000 hours. And what they've been able to do through some sense of study and gathering data is to discern that a person can master just about anything in about 10,000 hours. Well, if you do it like 1 hour a day for the next however many years, you're going to find that it's going to be around 30 years. I think it's a little over 30 years, but we're going to go with 30 to make round numbers. So an hour a day for 30 years, you become an expert. Well, what if you wanted to cut that time in half and say, Nate, I don't have 30 years to become an expert. I want to do it in 15. Well, then do that thing 2 hours a day. If you want to become an expert in 7.5 years, do it for 4 hours a day. If you want to cut that in half and you want to become an expert in 3 to 3.5 years, do it 8 hours a day. If you'll put in the time getting the experience, you learn all the stuff that's not going to work. You're going to barrel through all the challenges and be like, oh, that didn't work for me. Let me try something else. But then eventually you do find the things that are going to work for you. And you too will become an expert with a little experience. Thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, and share. And we'll be right back here tomorrow for another episode of Daily with Nate.